Somewhere in Arizona right now, a family is getting a check from their electric company. Not a rebate, not a discount, an actual payment, because their house made more electricity than it used to. Their power bill is not zero. It is negative. The electric company owes them money. And the crazy part? They did not invent anything. They did not discover anything new. They used a system that has been sitting in plain sight for decades. Most people walk right past it every single day. And most people have no idea what it can actually do. Your electric bill went up again. You already know that. You felt it when you opened that envelope last summer. Maybe it was $240. Maybe it was closer to $300. You stared at that number and thought, what am I even paying for? The average American household now spends over $1,400 a year just on electricity. That number has climbed more than 30% in the last 5 years. And every forecast says it keeps going up. Utility companies are not slowing down. They are accelerating. But here is the part that almost nobody talks about. The technology to slash that bill dramatically has existed since before your parents were born. Bell Laboratories built the first practical solar cell in 1954. 1954. Scientists at the time called it a revolution. Newspapers ran headlines about unlimited free power from the sun. And then something strange happened. The technology did not disappear. It just stopped being the story. It got pushed to the side, used in satellites, used in calculators. But for the average American home, nothing. For decades. So the real question is not whether solar works. The real question is, why did it take this long to reach you? And more importantly, is something still being left out? That is what this video is actually about. Now before we go any further, the title of this video uses the word infinite. And you deserve to know what that means right now, not at the end. Because infinite does not mean the system runs forever on magic. It means something very specific. And once you understand it, the whole idea clicks into place. The sun delivers energy to the surface of this planet every single day. It never sends a bill. It never raises its rates. It never goes on strike. It just keeps showing up. A solar system is simply a machine that intercepts that energy before it disappears into your roof and turns it into electricity you can actually use. The source never runs out. The source never charges you. That is where the word infinite comes from. Not from technology, from the sun itself. Here is where things get interesting. Solar panels convert sunlight into electricity. Direct current electricity, DC. But your home does not run on DC. Your home runs on AC, alternating current. So here is what happens. The DC power leaves the panels. It travels into a device called an inverter. Pause on that word, inverter. That one box is doing something critical. It is converting the raw power from your roof into the kind of electricity your refrigerator, your lights, and your air conditioner can actually use. From the inverter, the electricity flows into your home's main electrical panel. And from there, it runs everything. Simple chain. Panels to inverter, to panel to home. But if it is really that simple, why is not every single home already running on solar? That is the question most solar companies do not want to sit with too long. And the answer has layers. But we will get there. First, let us talk about what actually makes this system different from the solar of 20 years ago. Most solar setups installed today are connected to the grid. Your home is still attached to the utility lines. And during the day, when your panels are producing more electricity than your home is using, that surplus does not just disappear. It flows back out, into the grid, into the same lines that power your neighbors' homes. And when that happens, your meter runs backwards. You are not a customer anymore. You are a supplier. The utility company becomes your buyer. And at the end of the month, they owe you a credit for every kilowatt hour you sent them. Now watch this. Add a battery to that system and the whole thing transforms again. Instead of sending your surplus to the grid during the day, you store it. The battery fills up while the sun is out. When the sun goes down, the battery takes over and runs your home through the night. Next morning, the sun comes up and the cycle starts again. Sun charges battery. Battery runs house. Sun comes up, repeat. Indefinitely. No fuel, no combustion. No monthly delivery, just the sun doing what it has always done, and your system finally catching what was always being wasted. That is the infinite solar system, not a marketing slogan, a real description of how the energy loop works. But here is the catch that nobody leads with. This system does not work the same for every home. Two neighbors on the same street could install identical systems and get completely different results. We will come back to why at the end of this video. Because that detail changes everything. First, let us talk about what real people are actually experiencing. Meet a homeowner in Phoenix, Arizona. Retired. Fixed income. His electric bill in July was hitting $280 a month because of the air conditioning. He installed a mid-size solar array with a battery backup system 18 months ago. His last 12 monthly statements averaged out to a net cost of $11. $11. That is not a percentage reduction. That is a near-complete elimination of his electricity expense. He did not move. He did not change how he lives. He just changed where his electricity comes from. A study by Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, one of the most credible energy research institutions in the country, analyzed over 1 million solar installations across the United States. The median solar home reduced its grid electricity purchase by 70 to 80% after installation. That is before adding battery storage. With storage in the mix, some homeowners in high sunlight states reported dropping their grid usage to less than 10% of what they used before. On a $250 monthly bill, that is $225 back in your pocket. Every month. Every year. Most people never realize this is already happening at this scale. So why is this not everywhere? Why does the average American home still not have one of these systems? Here is where things get complicated. And it is important to stay accurate here, because this is not a conspiracy. It is just business. Utility companies sell electricity. That is their product. Every kilowatt hour a homeowner generates for themselves is one the utility does not sell. Multiply that across millions of homes, and you are looking at a massive revenue shift. So what do utility companies do? They adapt their policies. California restructured its net metering program in 2023. The new rules reduced the rate at which utilities pay homeowners for electricity sent back to the grid. Solar advocates called it a significant step backward. Utility companies called it a necessary rebalancing. The battle is ongoing, and it is happening in Florida, Georgia, Nevada, and other states too. But here is the thing. Even with reduced export rates, the math still works in most places. It just requires more careful planning than it did 5 years ago. Now, can you actually build one of these systems yourself? This is one of the most searched questions in the solar space right now, and the honest answer is yes, with conditions. The hardware is not locked away. Solar panels, inverters, batteries, charge controllers, all of it is commercially available. You can order it online. You can have it on your driveway within a week. And there are homeowners all across the country who have built their own grid-tied systems, pulled the proper permits, passed inspection, and got them approved by their utility company. It happens constantly. The knowledge is out there. However, grid-tied solar involves high-voltage DC power coming off your panels. It involves connections at your main electrical panel. It involves linking your home system to the utility grid in a way that has to be done correctly, because if it is not, the consequences go beyond a blown fuse. Backfeed into the grid during a power outage can injure utility workers who think the line is dead. Electrical fires from improper wiring are real. This is not meant to scare you away from DIY. It is meant to make sure you go into it with clear eyes. Most experts recommend that even confident DIY builders hire a licensed electrician for the grid interconnection portion. Do the rest yourself if you want, but get that part right. Here is where things change, and this is the part most people never reach because they get lost in the installation details. The federal government is currently offering a tax credit equal to 30% of your total solar installation cost. Not a deduction, a direct credit. If your system costs $20,000, you get $6,000 back on your federal taxes. Dollar for dollar. That credit is locked in through 2032 under the Inflation Reduction Act. And many states layer additional rebates and property tax exemptions on top of that. When you run the real math, install cost minus credits minus incentives plus monthly savings. Most homeowners in sun-rich states see their full payback within 6 to 9 years. After that, the electricity is essentially free for the remaining life of the panels, which is typically another 15 to 20 years minimum. But here's the crazy part, and this is the twist that most solar content completely skips over. The goal was never a $0 electricity bill. It was always something better than that. Under net metering, when your panels send electricity to the grid, the utility credits you at the retail rate, the same rate you would pay to buy it back. In summer, your panels run hot and produce more than you use. You send surplus back. Credits pile up on your account. In winter, production drops. You pull from the grid, but you pay with the credits you banked in summer. At the end of the year, if your system was sized correctly, your net balance is zero. You owe nothing. Sometimes you owe less than nothing. In 14 states right now, California, Arizona, New Jersey, Maryland, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Hawaii, Colorado, Illinois, Oregon, Washington, Vermont, and Montana. Net metering programs exist that allow homeowners to roll credits forward, sell surplus power, and in some cases receive actual checks from their utility company, real checks, in the mail, from the same company that has been charging them for years. That is the system flipping. That is the moment the relationship with your utility company permanently changes. You stop being a consumer. You become a producer. And they start writing to you instead of the other way around. Now let us land on what you actually know after watching this. Solar systems capture sunlight and turn it into electricity your home can use right now. Add a battery, and the system runs day and night on stored energy. Connect to the grid, and you trade surplus power for credits that cancel out what you consume. The word infinite describes the source, the sun, which never stops delivering and never charges a rate increase. Real homeowners in real states are achieving 70, 80, even 90% bill reductions. Some are at net zero. Some are cash positive. The federal tax credit makes the upfront cost significantly more manageable. And the system is not a future concept. It is installed and working in millions of American homes right now. But there is still one thing you need to understand before any of this applies to your situation. Here is a scenario that should stay with you. Two people buy the exact same solar system. Same brand, same panels, same battery, same installer. One of them saves thousands of dollars every year. The other barely notices a difference on their bill. Same sun, same technology, same street. So what changed? There is one number. One specific calculation that determines whether your system performs the way the brochure promised or falls short by a margin that never fully pays back. Almost nobody checks it before signing a contract. Most homeowners do not find out until it is too late to fix without spending more money. That number, and exactly how to find it for your home, is what we are covering next. You need to see it before you make any decisions. Because without it, everything else we talked about today is just theory.